Welcome back to Tightlining Maryland. I am excited to be back on the stream. It's been quite some time since I've gotten a chance to record. I've been busy with basketball camps, team camps, just doing stuff to help out, kind of young basketball players to grow their game. And now that that's officially over with, I am able to get back out on a stream. That stream today is going to be Little Falls. This is a stretch that I've never fished before. It is a section to which it's a little high today. It is off color, and it's something that I'm not sure if I want to throw streamers to get to these fish, if I want to, just nymph and get that thing down to the bottom. But nevertheless, we're going to try as best we can to try to catch some wild brown trout. I'm going to hit this stream and maybe one other one that's about 20 minutes away in the PA border, but we are back in Maryland, so it is good. It is nice to be fishing. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully the content can pick back up again soon, now that I have about 3 weeks left till school kicks back up again, and the real world starts up again. So enjoy, and in the meantime, here are some pictures from some recent trips that I took where I had small windows and I just didn't record. I was in a rush to just get out and fish, so here you go. So I got my first brown trout here on Little Falls. Nothing special, but nice to get a wild fish, especially given if you fish on the East Coast, you know how tough it's been to get out on water. So pretty fish, small, but there he goes. Don't have a ton of, because I wasn't really planning this trip. It was somewhat impromptu. Wasn't really planning to film today, so don't really have much time, but I'm using that dry dropper system again. Running a elk hair caddis at the top with a tungsten surveyor at the bottom. Probably gonna need to hit it with a shaker here in a second, because if you can see the caddis on the water, sometimes it starts to drop in the water column, which tells me that that caddis is a little wet. But anyway, one fish down, hopefully many more to go, but he hit the dry fly, which is nice, so they're hungry. But I'm going to turn off the camera, and once I hook up again, I'll put it back on. Picked up my second Little Falls wild brown trout, another small one. Had a few misses on dries, but pretty fish, nice yellow fins, and we're going to get him back in, released, and off he goes. So I picked him up in this softer water. I'm in and it's unfortunately starting to rain again, but I'm in faster water than what these fish are probably used to. This is just coming off of flood stages basically in every single creek in Maryland. So it's been a crazy week, but like the center of the creek is flowing nice and strong, but on the outsides, especially by this overhang, or this lay-in, I should say, with this log, I felt like there probably had to be a fish laying in there. Sure enough, I get one good drift through, bang, hits it on the end of that drift, and he took that nymph. So anyway, I see a nice little pool up here. I can see where the faster current's in the center, but on that back side, I'm gonna probably record and see if I can't pull one out live for you. But nevertheless, the water, although it's high and fast, it kind of becomes a little bit easier to read due to the fact that these fish start to, just go to the slower water, and they become a little bit more predictable as a result. So anyway, gotta get my dropper fixed, because it's unfortunately looped right now, but that's an easy fix. There we go. So problem solved there. So let's head up to this spot. We'll try to record inside of that spot, see what happens. Again, just a sneaking suspicion, maybe even a fish in here. I thought about doing some streamer fishing on the way back in some of these pools that are just deeper than usual, just to see if I can't get down to the bottom where these fish are probably lying. But for now, the dropper system has worked. I've gotten probably 4 or 5 hits from brown trout and 2 that I've landed, so not a bad ratio. So here's that nice cushy spot. The water's not too fast in the center. Want to run through all sides of the seams, kind of the center of it, the back side of it, the far back side of this pool. You know, there should be a brown trout laying in here. Just had a little take. Probably not a brown trout, but fish. There's another take. Tiny fish, those are probably chubs. So you get a mixture of the both. Luckily I've only landed trout so far, but those chubs are pesky. Alright, so nothing like I thought would be in that spot. I'm gonna hop out of the water. Oh, I don't have any wake that I'm creating. And you can just see, you know, how this river was all the way up over here. Yeah, that's a big change from what these fish are used to. And it's pretty amazing when you start thinking about how they can hide, you know, and find crevices to survive. It's impressive stuff for sure. Well, now I think it's time to get back in. Here's a frog. Now let's hit the back side of this. Hopefully we don't get too much heavy rain right now. I'd like to fish for a couple hours, but if we get a nice downpour, it's going to turn this creek over. See, now these holes are now probably 3 or 4 feet deep, and that's what I meant by it. Almost like to drag a streamer through it, see what these fish do. You know, if the water was only a foot or 2 deep, I would think that probably be good for this dry dropper, but unfortunately a lot of these holes are 2.5 to 4 feet deep, somewhere in that, you know, like I said, 3 to 4, and therefore, you know, it's a pretty good distance to come off the bottom. Not crazy, but you know, sometimes hitting them right in the head with that streamer or giving them a bigger source of food kind of entices them to chase. So that might just be the ticket on the way back, especially if this water comes up a little bit. So I'm gonna make just a couple more casts in this hole as it's coming to an end, turn off the camera, and you know, just go back to filming only when I got a fish. That way I don't waste this battery. But at least if nothing else, I explained a little bit of the strategy of, you know, how I'm trying to approach this river and what I think would work given the circumstances. So, you know, maybe a couple, I mean, the river really does look good. You know, I know the water's up, but the flows are pretty great right now. It's tough not to record this because it feels like there could be a fish everywhere, especially along these trees. They usually tuck up underneath of there. Yeah, that's a good drift. Yep, there was anything in there. He would have hit that drift, or at least so I'd like to think. Tough to imagine getting a better run through there. So again, the goal is hit all the different, you know, seams of these runs. Hit the outer edge, then try to hit the middle, then go for the far side. You know, break the water down into segments or thirds, I guess you could say. And that'll just give you a better chance at, you know, potentially hitting a fish in all the different stages of the water column. Thought that was a hit right there. Definitely took me under, but Unfortunately, unwilling to hit twice. All right, we're gonna shut her down and wait till we get a fish. So hopefully that explanation helped, and in the meantime, better luck as we head upstream. Just picked up my third trout. Very light, probably because of the water being a little off color and muddy for the last week. And there he goes. But again, trying to find some of the softer water, slow. He picked it up probably mid-drift right through here. And just took that dry fly right underneath, signifying that I had a take. So, you know, we're up to 3 fish. Not a bad day, given that I wasn't even supposed to really fish today. But we're gonna see if we can't try to pick up another couple fish before we switch over to the streamer and fish our way back down. I felt like that would be a good strategy to kind of use the dry dropper on the way up, be able to pick the water apart, and then on the way back just really kind of let loose and see what the aggressive fish might be doing in some of these undercuts that I can't get good drifts through. Like, for example, my personal best brown trout, which was on a very similar piece of water, I chucked a streamer into like a undercut type of bank situation. I wouldn't have been able to get a good drift through there, or like underneath of this rock. You know, sometimes that's where these fish station up, and that water's nice and slow for them down there, and they can just kind of jump out and pick off whatever comes downstream. So so far today, 3 fish. You know, this undercut down here I couldn't get a good drift through, but you know, I'm gonna keep trying, maybe go another 1/4 mile upstream with this dry dropper, and then come back down with a streamer. And if I pick anything up, I'll be sure to put it on camera for you guys. So thanks for tuning in. So I'm at a different section of the same stream, and I am putting on my rod wrong, first of all. But the reason why I wanted to put on the film before I even start in this little spot, which I've fished before, I've never filmed technically and put it on for YouTube, so I pray tonight I can do that. But I wanted to stop it because you can again see the, I don't want to call it devastation, but you can definitely see how high this water got. I mean, this is probably 4 or 5 feet above where it usually runs, you know, and it pushed all this grass down, and you can just see all the stuff stacked up against that road. I mean, that had to be washed out. I mean, there's just no way that all that stuff would have gotten up there if the river wasn't above the bridge. So I can't imagine what that had to look like last week. But anyway, for part 2 of this video, I'm gonna fish exclusively this hole. This is the sweet spot of this little, you know, stream. You know, all the rest above it's too low, all the rest below it's a little too deep. But this has got a sweet spot right in here that gets about 3 to 5 feet deep. I have caught a nice brown trout out of here before, and 2 really nice rainbows out of this spot before, you know, and I can't be sure, and I hope that I get one of them on film today. But the one rainbow that I caught, actually the 2 that I caught, one of them seemed wild, and I would love to get a solid image of it and film it just so I could maybe see it and verify if it was wild. But I'm gonna cast a streamer through and see if something just doesn't come up and whack it. So there's a couple ways of approaching this hole. Let it drop down in, let it ride around. There's an undercut with some rocks there, another undercut over here with the rocks. So I'm gonna try to cast up into that, see if I can drift through and have something pop out. I've got a split shot on this weighted, you know, weighted streamer, trying to get something to take it. But only had success in this hole once out of the 2 times I've been here. Last time I had a hit and no fish. The time before I caught 3 out of this very hole. Let's try up at the top end of this drift again. Ooh, I just had that brown trout hit. Came up and took a swipe. Gonna try to run something different through there now that I had a strike. Give a different look to the fish. Not quite sure what I want to run, but I think I might take a mop fly through it, see what happens, and I'll turn the camera back on here shortly. So part 2, I'm going to try a busted up mop fly. It is a crane mop from Lively Legs. It's taking a beating, but I'm going to try to tight line this thing through and see if we can't get something to take. There we go. First drift. This is the one I think is wild, so. All right, there we go. Oh. All right, maybe it isn't the one I thought was wild, but still a nice fish. Beautiful colors. I don't know. There's a slight hue of pal marks on this guy's belly. I know his gill plate's all jacked up. Somebody must have caught him, but it's tough to tell. I don't want to stress him out too much, especially given that his gill plate's all messed up, but I'll put him in the water real quick and just, you know, take a better look at him. But in the pink is just vibrant. It's got black spots on top. Sort of got pal marks if the camera will show it. I don't know if they will. But I want to let him get some water in his gills. That way, not doing any damage to him. Nice fish though, beautiful colors. Let's take another look at this guy. So hopefully you can see that on the camera. I mean, there is a very decent chance that this is a wild fish. I mean, even his tail has got the black spots on it. It's got the black spots on top. And there he goes. But I don't know, it's tough to tell. Beautiful fish. I'm not aware of wild rainbows in this area, but I don't know, something about these fish in this little hole just screams to me there's a chance. So we're gonna try again. That's a good start. I'm glad I got that on film. He took first drift of that crane fly right on the bottom. So that's going to wrap up today's film. You know, thank you guys for tuning in again. I wish I had gotten some more fish on camera for you. I had 4 on this film. I caught 5, but the 4th one he took a dry fly, and even with a barbless hook, it went into his eye, and I don't like recording that with fish in stress, and I just try to get them right back in the water. So anyway, I felt like it was a successful day. I really didn't have many options. You know, the gunpowder, which is pretty much regulated by a dam, even that was blown out. So there really wasn't anything in the central Maryland area except for Little Falls. And I managed to get 3, technically 4 brown trout and 1 what I think is a wild rainbow. I guess you guys can be the judge of that. You know, I wish his gill plate would have been in better condition to maybe disprove that otherwise. But, you know, he did have some pal marks on his body, those nice black little spots, you know, in that vibrant pink. So maybe he's a holdover, maybe he's not. But, you know, I've definitely caught another smaller one in here that had all the markings of wild fish, but unfortunately didn't get him on this film. So hopefully with summer left about 3 weeks, I can get at least 3 more films on for you with some solid fishing, maybe some explanations of technique, you know, and some breakdown before I get back into the swing of things with work. Try to get into PA again, maybe hit the Little J or something like that once this water subsides. But, you know, I hope you guys were able to get out on the water. I know I've been extremely frustrated with the lack of fishing opportunities given the weather, but, you know, if we can survive this week and get back out on there in another week or so, hopefully we'll all be better for it. So until then, tight lines, and I hope you enjoyed.